March 19, 2024, News Report 1. The Hong Kong Legislative Council passed Article 23 of the Basic Law with 89 votes in favor, 0 against, and no abstentions. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam announced that the legislation would be gazetted and come into effect on March 23. The Legislative Council President Andrew Leung, who had previously remained neutral, also voted in favor during the third reading. The Chinese government has urged the Hong Kong government to advance the legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law before National Security Education Day on April 15. After the Hong Kong government submitted the legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law to the Legislative Council on March 8, all legislative work was suspended to fully cooperate with the legislation. To expedite the process, multiple meetings were held. From March 8 to March 19, a law with profound implications for Hong Kong's future was passed in less than 2 weeks, more than 20 days ahead of the time requested by the central government. The legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law is named the National Security Law, covering acts such as treason, subversion, incitement to rebellion, theft of state secrets, establishing political ties with foreign groups, and engaging in espionage, with a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. However, the law has vague definitions of national security secrets, allowing the Hong Kong government to prosecute individuals with different political views at any time. The Hong Kong Police National Security Department has drafted enforcement details for the law and ensured that officers are familiar with the legal provisions through a series of internal training sessions. Former Hong Kong Central and Western District Councillor Yi Kin Lung posted on Facebook after the passage of Article 23 of the Basic Law, stating that the Legislative Council does not include any Democrats, and the so-called legislative process of Public Opinion Council is simply a farce. He criticized the Hong Kong government for using this malicious law to control Hong Kong people and foreign companies. The United States and the United Kingdom have also expressed concerns, with U.S. Ambassador to China Nicholas Burns stating that the legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law undermines freedom of speech and assembly in Hong Kong, as well as the right of citizens to hold different political views. The Congressional Executive Commission on China wrote to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken calling for sanctions against Hong Kong officials and an increase in travel warnings for Hong Kong. However, so far, U.S. President Biden and UK Prime Minister Sunak have not commented, raising questions about the Western country's position. News Report 2. Xinhua News Agency reported that Chinese President Xi Jinping conducted an inspection tour in Changsha, Hunan Province, on the afternoon of March 18. Xi first visited Hunan First Normal University to learn about the school's full utilization of red resources. Founded in 1903, Hunan First Normal University is a full-time normal university and also the alma mater of Mao Zedong. However, some people questioned whether Mao Zedong understood communism when he studied there, so they doubted whether he belonged to the so-called red resources. They believe that if Xi Jinping wants to inspect red resources, he should at least go to see the statue of Mao Zedong's youth art around the situation. Later, Xi Jinping visited the BASF Sansan Battery Materials Company. On March 19, Xi Jinping arrived in Changde, Hunan, and successively inspected Zhongping Village in Changde River Street, learning about the utilization of historical and cultural blocks, comprehensive urban water environment management, and the efficiency improvement of village plowing. The report pointed out that Xinhua News Agency has not released a specific report on Xi Jinping's inspection, only a few photos. In recent years, when Xi Jinping inspected various places, there were few specific policy announcements. Some places had, such as when he went to Inner Mongolia, but most did not. News Report 3. The Wall Street Journal reported that the United States has been encouraging Taiwan to develop asymmetric warfare capabilities. Recently, the Taiwan Ministry of National Defense hoped that the United States could change this perception and sell more tanks and fighter jets to Taiwan. Asymmetric warfare refers to the use of cheap small arms to repel the People's Liberation Army through a large number of small tactical operations. Officials of the Taiwan Ministry of National Defense believe that although this tactic has played a certain role on the Ukrainian battlefield, especially in cutting off Russia's supply lines, the situation in Taiwan is different. The Taiwan Ministry of National Defense expects the PLA to surround Taiwan with warships and establish a solid beachhead after landing, where small short-range weapons are ineffective. Therefore, the military needs more heavy weapons. The Wall Street Journal pointed out that if Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te intends to enhance Taiwan's defense capabilities, he can push the United States to accelerate the delivery of 108 Abrams tanks and 66 F-16 fighter jets and other heavy weapons to Taiwan. The China Times reported that Lai Ching-te expressed support for Taiwan's continued submarine self-building. Lai Ching-te attended the delivery of a patrol vessel of the Coast Guard administration with President Tsai Ing-wen on March 9, and then secretly inspected the construction progress of the Hazing submarine and listened to a confidential briefing. Taiwan plans to build 8 electric drive submarines, with the Hazing as the prototype vessel, costing 25 billion new Taiwan dollars, or approximately $785 million US. Nanking instructed to build 7 submarines at once. In addition, according to the Discipline Times, Taiwan's president-elect and former representative to the United States Xiao Mei-chin concluded her visit to the United States and met with Czech Senate President Visector in the Czech Republic on March 19. Visector posted a photo of him and Xiao Mei-chin on Twitter. Taiwan has not publicly announced Xiao Mei-chin's pre-assumption visit schedule. News Report 4. Gallup released the results of its annual World Affairs Survey on March 18, showing that for the 4th consecutive year, 41% of Americans consider China to be the United States' top enemy, followed by 25% for Russia, 9% for Iran, 5% for the United States itself, and 4% for North Korea. Among the countries favored by Americans, Canada and Japan tied for first place, followed by the United Kingdom in second place, Germany in third place, France in fourth place, and Taiwan in fifth place. The survey was conducted from February 1 to 20 last year, interviewing 1,016 people across the United States by telephone. According to Voice of America, Indiana Governor Holmes signed a bill last week prohibiting any city in Indiana from signing sister city agreements with cities in China. The bill will take effect on July 1. Indiana State Representative Banks said that sister city agreements are managed by the Chinese Communist Party's United Front system. Chinese President Xi Jinping once called United Front work an important magic weapon for the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The CCP promotes sister city agreements to establish a foothold in Indiana, not to help Indiana. In October last year, the Heartland China Association organized a visit by American local mayors to China. Brent, the former mayor of Carmel, Indiana, was a member of the visiting delegation. During that visit, Brent signed an agreement between Carmel and Xiangyang, Hubei province, to become sister cities. The Washington Post pointed out in January that there has always been hostility between the Chinese government and the U.S. federal government. The Chinese government has turned to seek the support of local governments. Local legislators have noticed this trend and are alert. Indiana's legislation to prohibit sister city agreements with Chinese cities is one example. News Report 5. On March 19, the Bank of Japan voted 7-2 to raise the benchmark interest rate from -0.1% to 0% to 0.1%, marking the end of Japan's 17-year negative interest rate policy. This move indicates that Japan may emerge from what has been called the lost 30 years of economic stagnation. The governor of the Bank of Japan said at a press conference that the reason for the rate hike is the impending realization of a 2% inflation rate, and loose monetary policy can support the economy and prices. If necessary, the Bank of Japan will consider extensive easing policies. It is expected that after the rate hike, deposit and loan rates in the United States will not rise sharply, and future rates will be determined by the market. Following the announcement of the rate hike by the Bank of Japan, the stock market rose, with the Nikkei average closing at 40,003 points, up 0.66%, breaking through 40,000 points for the first time. However, the yen exchange rate fell, with the US dollar to Japanese yen rate rising from 150 to 150.1. News Report 6. According to the Nikkei newspaper, India's Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange had a total of 220 companies conducting initial public offerings, IPOs, last year, a 48% increase compared to the previous year, ranking first in the world. India accounted for 17% of the total IPO projects last year. According to data released by Ernst & Young, the total amount raised by India's two stock exchanges last year was $6.9 billion, exceeding Hong Kong's $5.6 billion. Last year, overseas investors bought an excess of 1.7 trillion rupees, about $20.6 billion, worth of Indian assets. From January to March this year, 75 Indian companies conducted IPOs, significantly higher than the same period last year. Ernst & Young stated that funds are flowing into India to hedge against investment risks in China. News Report 7. U.S. President Biden and Israeli President Netanyahu spoke on the phone on March 18 and agreed to fully discuss the Gaza issue. An Israeli interdepartmental group will go to Washington this week or next week to attend the meeting. Before the meeting, Israel will not launch ground operations in the Rafah area. Biden told Netanyahu that he hopes to see a clear and coherent Gaza strategy, rather than Israel conducting large-scale bombings in the Rafah area. At the same time, Biden reiterated the U.S. support for Israel to eliminate Hamas militants. According to Agence France-Presse, U.S. National Security Advisor Sullivan said at a regular press conference that Hamas's number 3, Issa, was killed by the Israeli army last week. Sullivan said that the Israeli army has eliminated thousands of Hamas militants in its operations, including senior Hamas commanders. Other senior Hamas leaders are hiding deep underground. There are differences between Biden and Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants to decisively eliminate Hamas, while Biden's position is more moderate. Biden said that if he supports Israel too strongly, he may lose the support of moderate voters, so his position has changed. News Report 8. Reuters reported that U.S. national security officials will hold a closed-door meeting for the Senate Commerce and Intelligence Committee on March 20 to brief the Senate on national security risks related to TikTok. This is aimed at persuading the Senate to support legislation targeting TikTok. The closed-door briefing will be chaired by the two chairs of the Commerce and Intelligence Committee, Warner and Kaine. Committee members include Republican Senators Rubio and Cruz. The briefing will cover foreign use of American data as a national security threat and related legislation. The U.S. Department of Justice has been working with the Senate recently, requesting that TikTok and its Chinese parent company sell TikTok within 6 months. Otherwise, TikTok will be removed from U.S. app stores. Currently, the Senate is considering how to proceed with this legislation. News Report 9. According to the Korean Central News Agency, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un watched a large-scale multiple rocket launcher firing training on March 18, with his daughter also present. This type of large-scale rocket has a range of 380 kilometers, covering the entire South Korea. Photos show that 6 large rockets hit unmanned island targets near Hamgyongbukdo. Kim Jong-un said that large-scale rockets are the core means of attack in war, and North Korea will modernize and scale its artillery units. The U.S. military in South Korea believes that firing conventional missiles at South Korea constitutes a war crime, and South Korea will retaliate destructively. In addition, on March 18, North Korea also launched 3 ballistic missiles, landing outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. News Report 10. According to Radio France Internationale, there was also a car ramming incident in Beijing. At 7:40 p.m. on March 19, an accident occurred at an intersection near Guxiang in Dongqing District, Beijing. A black sedan directly entered the non-motorized lane, hitting many electric bikes. Some people were lying motionless on the ground, while others were sitting on the ground with blood stains. This was one of the 3 car ramming incidents in China. According to CCTV, on the same morning at 7 o'clock, another ramming incident occurred in Tieshi District, Shenyang City. A black sedan directly drove onto the sidewalk, resulting in 3 deaths and 2 injuries. The video shows that the victims of the collision were scattered on the ground, with first aid personnel bandaging the wounded and performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Several cars were overturned and motorcycles were smashed. In addition, at 11:30 a.m. on March 19, at Taizhou Vocational and Technical College in Taizhou City, Zhejiang Province, a sedan crashed into the school gate and hit students, injuring 10 students. Pictures from the scene show several injured students lying on the ground. The car involved in the accident was destroyed, and the driver has been arrested by the police. Recently, there have been several deliberate car ramming incidents in China. On March 1, a sedan hit students at the entrance of a primary school in Dezhou City, Shandong Province, killing 2 and injuring 6. On March 8, there was also a car ramming incident in Changsha, where a sedan hit students crossing the road, injuring 2. On March 12, in Huadu District, Guangzhou, a sedan drove into a crowd, injuring 11 people.